Tesla. I produced their first three albums with Michael, and obviously on every album we said no machines, and there was a reason for that. Is we kept it real. I mean, that was before Pro Tools, so where you wouldn't put something on a grid and perfection each bar.
Hmm.
So we would have the band play live in the studio, and then obviously do overdubs, do a guide vocal, but try to keep the essence of a band playing together. Because I always found, as going into a lot of live shows, I'm saying, well, they sound and feel better live than they did in the studio, on a studio recording.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, because people tend to overanalyze. When I says, okay, I'm gonna take a band in the studio, say, okay, we're gonna elevate your live show now. Okay. So it's very important that they're able to capture what they do in the studio live. That's always been my mantra. And so far, for the most part, it's worked. And obviously it depends on the musical genre you're working on.
Right. Well, I
So when I
mean,
was working at Media Sound, Aretha Franklin was working with Luther Vandross. And it was a funny story. And Luther was a perfectionist, and so is obviously
mhm,
Aretha.
right.
And they had a little conflict where, Aretha would sing the song,
Hmm.
and Luther would go, "Hey, let's try another take." And she would go, "What's wrong with that take?" I said, "Well, I think we can get it better. Let's try another take." He said, "No, that take is fine." And then Aretha started to get a little bitchy, where she goes, "I've had more gold records and this and that." Went off on Luther. And this is when Aretha was doing a comeback, and Luther came back and said something to the back of, "That might be true, but the only gold you've seen is in the roof of your mouth lately," or something like
Oh,
that. And she stormed out. Funny story. You have to deal with a lot of egos, and that's definitely a misogyny thing. And you have to know when to be assertive and when to just lay back.
yeah. I think it's an important thing, and I don't think people always think about that. Like there is a certain skill level to be a successful producer with all these different artists, and to kind of move in and out is how to work with them, and that's a huge skill. Just that people skill, and to put it across to encourage them to be their best that they can be, to push them without pushing them too far. Also,
Oh, I've
that's
been known to push.
oh yeah, you had
Well,
good stories about that.
it's at a point where if I'm going to work with an artist, I want to make their best record ever. I mean, that's my goal. And it's
Mhm.
hard to do when you work with established artists and they've had like 10 multi-platinum albums and you're working with them for the first time, but that's
Right.
always my goal. And a lot of times when you get these artists that come to the studio, think, okay, he's a name, but we're going to take over and this and that, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, I want to get what I want.
Right.
And if that means I have to push it, I mean, there was one time I was working with KORN, and I would sit at 5 o'clock in the morning writing lyrics with Jonathan at my hotel room. And I said, "Jonathan, this is what I want you to do. When you sing the song, I don't want a lyric sheet in there. Okay. I want you to memorize the lyrics, because I want a gut reaction to the song. And there's not
Mhm.
going to be a gut reaction if you're reading the lyric sheet while you're singing the song." And I'll tell you, 95% of all singers have lyric sheets in front of them, and I
Oh
don't
yeah.
like that. That to me is not real. So I remember Jonathan came in and did a take on one of these songs, and he put so much energy and so much passion, he almost passed out at the end of the take.